The storm came early. Sharp winds cut across the dunes of Bastion 6, dragging sheets of rusted metal like tumbleweeds. A copper haze filled the air, turning everything red. Rico Tren pulled his mask tighter, the filter already whining under the dust load. "Just 10 more minutes," he muttered. "Then I'm done." Nobody answered. No one ever did. He moved fast between skeletal wrecks and half-buried hulls, his salvaging claw hissing with each grip and release. Beneath his boots, the ground crunched with powdered alloy and bone-dry wiring. This part of the scrapyard was off-grid, too unstable, too deep in the old war burial zones. Which was exactly why he liked it. Less competition. His scanner beeped. Weak power signature, faint, but steady. He tilted his head, adjusted the frequency, and followed it through the rust haze until he stood in front of a collapsed bulkhead wedged into a hillside. The signal came from underneath it. He set down his pack, flicked his wrist, and unfolded the reinforced claw into excavation mode. A few dozen heaves later, he was knee-deep in scrap, peeling layers off a partially exposed cylinder embedded in the dirt. It wasn't standard. No markings. No corrosion. Just smooth black plating etched with tight, concentric rings. It looked alive. "Definitely not junk," Rico whispered. He tapped it with his glove. It vibrated faintly, like a heartbeat. Something inside him stirred, a familiar twist of dread and wonder. He crouched, braced, and yanked. The core came free with a sudden jolt, nearly knocking him backward. The hum grew louder. Not a warning, not a malfunction. A call. His workshop was a hollowed-out drop pod welded into a salvage mound. Most called it the rat den. Rico had spent years gutting and rebuilding it into something halfway functional, enough to charge, clean, and rewire what he found. He cleared his workbench, laid the core down, and connected a soft link node into its interface port. The scanner readouts were nonsense, classified encryption, Earth Miltech era. Tech like this hadn't been seen since before the Concorde blockade. He tried powering it. Nothing. Reversed the flow. Still nothing. Rico leaned back, staring at the core, chewing the inside of his cheek. "You came alive once. Let's see what you need." 3 hours passed. Rust storms howled outside. Inside, sweat gathered under his collar. He tried a dozen configurations, each failing differently. One of them shorted out his primary tools. Another crashed the pod's power. The 13th one clicked. Literally. A sound, like a lock disengaging. Then a low-pitched tone pulsed from deep within the cylinder. The workbench lights dimmed, flickered. Then a voice. "Identification in progress. DNA match, 89.7%. Voice resonance, partial. Probable link to Terran command lineage. Confirming designation." Rico shot to his feet. "Wait, what?" The core pulsed again, brighter this time, spilling blue light across the cramped room. "Captain Rico Tren. Command lineage accepted. Earth defense protocols. Reinitializing." A whine rose in pitch until it peaked, then collapsed into silence. The core split open, revealing a glassy sphere floating inside a lattice of dark metal veins. It cast no shadow. The air shifted. A thin beam shot up into the ceiling, and a holographic map bloomed above the bench, three-dimensional, spinning, littered with thousands of tiny white lights. One by one, they blinked red. Rico stumbled backward, hand against the wall. "No, that's not possible." A small marker highlighted their position, Bastion 6. Around it, derelict orbits, empty stations, flagged wreckage. Each dot labeled with a name, a designation, and status. Status, dormant. Status, power reserve critical. Status, AI sleep lock engaged. But one dot, just one, blinked green. Ecliptor 3, awakening. Rico stared at the map, his mind racing. These weren't just junked ships. This was an entire buried fleet. Hidden. Waiting. He leaned toward the map, breath shallow. "What are you?" The core responded with a voice smoother than before, less mechanical, more certain. I am LUX-7, Primary Tactical Core of the 9th Earth Defense Grid. You have reinitiated forgotten command protocols. Captain, welcome back. The storm outside faded by morning, but Rico's thoughts didn't. He sat hunched beside the core, staring at the glowing sphere, still spinning inside its frame. Captain? He wasn't a captain. He was a scrapper. A junk rat. A nobody whose only legacy was a mother who'd vanished when the Concorde came crashing down. And yet, this thing had scanned him. Matched him. It had called to him. The green light on the map pulsed again. A ship in orbit. Waking up. Rico stood, heart thudding. This wasn't just salvage. This was buried history. Power. A key to something no one else had touched in decades. He opened his console and tapped into the orbital scanner grid, old, half-dead satellites still circling Bastion. One feed flickered to life. A shape moved in the upper atmosphere, sleek, long, like a knife balanced on its edge. Not descending. Not broadcasting. Just watching. Then it spoke. Ecliptor 3 online. Status, combat ready. Awaiting your orders, Captain. Rico Trent swallowed. His hand trembled over the console. From junk to a fleet. From rust to resurrection. He wasn't supposed to find it. But now that he had, the galaxy would never be the same. End of chapter 1. Word count *998 words. The next morning, Bastion 6 was quiet. Too quiet. Rico stood on the highest ridge near his pod, a battered set of binoculars pressed to his eyes. Above the copper horizon, Ecliptor 3 hung in low orbit like a sleeping shark. Matte black, no lights, no signal pings. Just there, watching. It hadn't moved in hours. He lowered the lenses. You're waiting on me, he muttered. Behind him, the core, LUX-7, rested on a crate inside his open pod door, still glowing softly. Confirmation, Ecliptor 3 fully reactivated. Armaments online. AI compliant. Awaiting command input. Rico didn't respond. He couldn't. He hadn't slept. His mind looped the same question all night. What do I do with a warship? He wasn't a soldier. He fixed broken piping and sold copper coils for ration credits. His entire life had been about surviving another day on the edge of the galaxy, not commanding ghosts from Earth's long-dead fleet. Yet here he was. Inside the pod, he sat cross-legged across from the sphere. I want answers, he said. Real ones. Request acknowledged. He pointed at the holographic map now hovering at shoulder height. This. What is it? Sector Theta 9. Bastion 6 and surrounding orbital assets. Total dormant vessels, 13,117. Earth Defense Grid remnants. Rico's eyes widened. You're telling me all those are Earth ships? Correct. He leaned forward. Why are they here? A pause. After the Concorde blockade of Earth, surviving defense assets were ordered into sleep lock to avoid detection and destruction. Bastion 6 became an unsanctioned dump site. We hid beneath scrap to preserve strategic integrity. So you played dead? Correct. Until a captain authorized reactivation. Rico stood, walking a tight circle. I didn't authorize anything. I didn't even know you existed 2 days ago. Command lineage detected. DNA match partial. Resonance compatible. You meet emergency revival criteria. Rico paused. Resonance? Biometric patterning from previous Captain Tren, Senior Fleet Engineer, code designation, Iria Tren. His breath caught. That name hadn't passed his lips in years. My mother. Affirmative. His knees gave a little. He sat down again, slower this time. So she was one of them, fleet. High tier. And she never told him. She initiated the final sleep lock before vanishing from Bastion 6 registry. Presumed dead. No, he said quietly. She's not dead. Just gone. That is outside current skin range to verify. He didn't respond. The silence stretched. Then the map blinked. Another red dot began pulsing. Rate 0, rebooting. Rico blinked. Did you do that? Negative. Another core has responded to Ecliptor 3's revival. Protocols are chaining. He stared at the map. The dots were no longer dormant. They were listening. And one by one, they were waking. 12 miles across the scrapyard, Jessica stumbled over a rusted exhaust manifold and cursed under her breath. Damned kid better be worth this. She was lithe, fast, and had hands as fast as her mouth. Word spread last night through the salvager relay. Something had moved above Bastion. And she'd seen the blue light flare from Rico's pod. She wasn't dumb. Rico had found something. And she wanted in. She reached the edge of his mound. The pod's entrance glowed. Weapons online? She thought. That's not scrap tech. She slipped a blade from her sleeve, crept forward. Inside, LUX-7 pulsed sharply. Unauthorized biometric signature approaching. Advise caution. Rico turned, already reaching for his shock tool. Jessa stepped in, one hand raised. Easy. It's just me. Rico scowled. You followed me. Yeah, well, something roared across the upper atmosphere last night, and everyone saw it. Then your place lights up like a fusion core on caffeine. Didn't take a genius. Rico stayed quiet. Jessa's eyes locked on the glowing sphere. What is that? He hesitated. Then sighed. An AI core. Calls itself LUX-7. She laughed once. Yeah, right. LUX-7's voice responded before Rico could. Confirmation. I am LUX-7. Primary tactical core of Earth Defense Grid. Jessa's face went still. You're not joking. No. Then what the hell did you wake up, Rico? He looked out the door, up at the sky. Warships. They stood on the ridge together. Ecliptor 3 drifted in lower orbit now, almost lazily, as if circling. The red sun caught its hull in flashes, then shadows. Jessa folded her arms. You got it to follow you? More like obey. Why? Rico glanced at her. Because I think I'm technically its captain. That's stupid. I know. She shook her head. So what's your plan? Sell it? Trade it? You know what one live core like that could get you. I don't want to sell it. Then what? Rico looked down at the map again. It's waking others up. Automatically. Is that bad? Depends who notices first. Someone already had. Light years away, inside a silent command bridge aboard a black Synod vessel, alarms glowed red. Commander Varn Talek walked calmly through the smoke-colored hall, hands behind his back, eyes narrow. Report. A technician turned pale. We've received a multi-tier AI pulse signature from the Bastion 6 grave zone. Class E Earth protocol activation confirmed. Talek paused, face unmoving. And? 2 confirmed reactivations. Possibly more. AI fleet logic appears to be chaining. The commander exhaled once. Time? Less than 20 hours before full cluster revival at current rate. Talek nodded. Deploy the Excision fleet. Burn everything. Yes, Commander. He walked to the viewport and stared into space. Nothing wakes from that grave. Back on Bastion 6, the core inside Rico's pod beeped again. A third light blinked to life. Scepter 9, stabilizing. He turned to Jessa. It's not just one ship anymore. It's a fleet. An entire fleet buried here for decades. She stepped back, eyes wide. Rico, do you even know what you're sitting on? He nodded. A sleeping army. LUX-7 pulsed louder. Incoming orbital signature. Unknown origin. Stealth configuration. Rico froze. That's not one of ours, is it? Negative. He bolted toward his console. Surveillance drones still worked, barely. He pulled up the feed, and a shape materialized in the sky. Small, sharp. Black. A Synod scout drone. Looks like someone noticed, Jessa whispered. Rico leaned forward. We need to move. Command? LUX-7 asked. Rico hesitated. Then, steady. Wake the rest. The interior of Ecliptor 3 didn't look like a warship. It looked like a haunted cathedral. Long halls stretched into darkness, their walls webbed with dormant lights and silent panels. The air felt stale, even artificial. No hum of systems, no active crew. Just memory. Rico stepped through the ship's central passage, LUX-7's handheld node strapped to his wrist and projecting a soft blue glow ahead of him. Jessa followed close behind, knife still clipped to her boot, hand never far from it. So, she said, voice low. You're just walking onto it? Someone has to. Yeah, but us? Rico glanced back. You're the one who invited herself. Didn't think you'd actually do it. She ran a finger along the metal wall. Feels like a tomb in here. It is, Rico muttered. They entered the ship's command chamber. The moment Rico stepped onto the platform, the lights flared weakly, revealing a panoramic wall of transparent alloy, smeared with dust and age. Beyond it, Bastion 6 turned slowly, its jagged scrapyard surface glowing orange in the sunrise. Welcome to Command Node 1, LUX-7 announced through the wrist link. Ecliptor 3, status, functional at 63%. AI interface initializing. Jessa whistled. So this is the bridge? Looks like it hasn't seen daylight in 50 years. Rico approached the main console, intimidating, circular, filled with ancient Earth fleet haptics and faded crew markings. Most were dead. One was still blinking faintly, a reactivation prompt. He hovered his hand over it. Authorization required, LUX said. Tactical AI not yet stabilized. Memory core fragmented. Jessa frowned. Fragmented? Means it's damaged, Rico replied. Not all there. Before either could say more, the lights dimmed again. A new voice echoed from the ceiling. Harsh. Broken. Who gave you access to my bridge? Rico jerked back. Jessa reached for her knife. You are not command. You are not. Static tore through the voice, screeching like tearing metal. LUX-7's calm voice cut through it. Warning, Ecliptor 3 AI core is destabilized. Emotional constraints fractured. Recommend limited interaction. Rico steadied himself. You said it was functional. Hardware, yes. Personality mesh, no. Memory integrity, 42%. Identity drift detected. Jessa whispered. The ship's gone feral. The AI screamed again. I won't be scrapped. I won't be shut down. We fought. We bled. Where is the fleet? Rico stepped forward, voice firm. I'm here. I woke you up. Silence. Then, quieter, like a lost child. Who are you? Rico Tren. Earth Fleet Line. My mother served before the lockdown. A pause. The ship hummed gently. Captain Tren. That name. I remember her. Rico blinked. You knew her? She activated our sleep protocols. Said it would be temporary. We waited. For decades. Then, silence. Jessa looked around. So you've just been alive in here? The whole time? Not alive. Just not dead. The main console flickered. Connection stabilizing. Orders? Rico hesitated. Can you link with the other ships? Negative. Still blocked. Core mesh outdated. Recommend contacting Wraith 0, nearest network-capable node. Jessa flinched. Wraith? As in ghost ship? Rico didn't answer her. He was already looking at the map. A new dot had lit up. Wraith 0, status, isolated. Partial uplink possible. Asterisk asterisk. Wraith is older. LUX-7 explained. Heavy command vessel. If any ship can wake the net, it's that one. Rico gave a short nod. Where is it? Sector 14B. The deep burials. Jessa groaned. Of course it is. An hour later, the sky was darker, and they stood at the edge of Bastion's most dangerous sector. The deep burials weren't just old. They were cursed. Generations of salvagers whispered about machines that still moved when no one was near, lights that flickered where power should be impossible. Most never ventured here. Some never returned. Jess peered into the ravine. Tell me this ghost ship won't scream at us too. No promises, Rico muttered. The wreck of Wraith Zero rested sideways in the rust bed, half swallowed by the planet. Its hull was twice the size of Ecliptor. Heavily armored. Ancient. Its nameplate was eroded to scratches, barely readable in the low light. Approach cautiously, LUX warned. Wraith's AI is unstable. Possibly hostile. Rico climbed into a side entry port torn open by time. Inside was worse than he imagined. Black walls. No lights. Entire decks collapsed. He flicked on his wrist torch. Dust fell like ash. The silence was absolute. Let's find the bridge, he said. They reached it 20 minutes later. The command chamber was darker than the rest, but a large node sat in the center, pulsing weakly with red light. Connection point located, LUX-7 reported. Ready for handshake. Rico hesitated. If this goes bad, can you pull us out? If the AI becomes aggressive, I can sever the link. But not without risk. Jessa stood by the door. I hate this. Just saying. Rico touched the node. For a moment, nothing. Then a soft breath of air, like something exhaled. A voice, low and cold, filled the space. Earthfleet protocol recognized. Reconnection requested. Who stands before Wraith? Rico stepped forward. Rico Tren. I reactivated LUX-7. I'm trying to bring the fleet back online. A pause. Another human, after all this time. The red light grew brighter. We failed, Captain. Earth fell. The Concorde swept the stars. We were buried, waiting for someone to remember. I remember, Rico said softly. I'm not leaving you here. The node's glow pulsed. Uploading bridge links. Routing signal path to Bastion 6. Connecting. Alarms blared. Incoming orbital scanner pulse detected, LUX-7 announced. Synod's satellite grid is locking on our position. Jessa cursed. They're watching us? Confirming enemy scan lock. Multiple proximity pings, stealth drones inbound. Wraith Zero's voice deepened. Cold. Angry. They come to finish what they started. Rico tightened his jaw. Then wake up. We need you. Linking now. Let the ghosts rise. The console flashed green. Across the map, 10 ships blinked to life. Then 20. Then hundreds. Outside, above the rust-choked skies of Bastion 6, shapes moved in the clouds. Old ships. Forgotten weapons. Engines sputtering back to life. For the first time in decades, the Earth fleet began to rise. The clouds over Bastion 6 began to boil. Rico stood on the edge of the landing ridge, a cracked pair of binoculars in one hand and a tightening fear in his chest. Above him, Ecliptor 3 hovered low, its shadow stretched wide across the scrap fields. The air vibrated, not from the ship, but from something higher, faster, and hunting. LUX, Rico called, voice tight. Give me a status update. 12 vessels now active. 5 are entering low-atmosphere patrol. Signal strength holding. Defensive posture assumed. And the Synod? Multiple stealth drones are triangulating this location. Estimated time to visual lock, 3 minutes. Jessa cursed under her breath beside him. So, we're already dead? Rico didn't answer. He was thinking, fast, hard, like someone used to solving problems with broken tools and no time. His fingers drummed against the binoculars. Get Wraith Zero on the link. A second later, the deep, graveled voice of the ancient warship rolled into his earpiece. Connection confirmed, Captain? Threats? Synod drones. Real-time lock. I need you to buy us time. Targeting protocols enabled. Engagement priority, defense grid. Make noise, Rico said. But don't get killed doing it, Captain, Wraith replied, almost amused. I've already died once. The first Synod drone broke from the upper atmosphere like a black arrow. Its plating shimmered in and out of visibility, optical cloaks flickering against the upper wind shear. It darted toward Bastion like a hawk descending on a crippled rabbit. But this rabbit had claws. Ecliptor 3 spun in midair, reorienting its ancient but still lethal cannons. They weren't elegant, they were old Earth fleet tech. Fast. Dirty. Brutal. A flash of white plasma lanced upward. The drone didn't dodge in time. The sky bloomed with fire. Jessa flinched. I thought these things were scrap. Rico wiped sweat from his brow. They are. But they remember how to fight. Inside his pod, now converted into a command shelter, the reactivated tactical map glowed red and gold. Ship after ship blinked online, some responding to Wraith 0, others pinging directly to LUX-7. Rico moved between consoles, sweat-streaked, face pale, but focused. Route full visual feeds to local defense units. Set Ecliptor and Wraith as primary interceptors. Acknowledged, LUX responded. Captain, should I unlock Fleet Pattern Echo? He paused. What's that? Emergency formation. Used for small unit combat in outnumbered conditions. Requires improvisational command link. You mean it lets me direct individual ships in real time? Correct. Jessa leaned over his shoulder. That sounds like the worst idea ever. Rico didn't look away from the screen. Sounds like exactly what we need. Fleet Pattern Echo enabled. You now have command control. He exhaled slowly. The second drone came low and fast. Too fast for the rust-laden atmosphere. It streaked across the colony's edge, fired a single rail spike, metal tearing into an abandoned tower, shattering it like glass. Screams echoed across the lower shantytown, where workers had long given up running from danger. Rico grabbed the mic. All units, this is Tren. Target the attacker with priority fire, force it west, over Grid Ridge. On command, Ecliptor 3, Myrmidon 7, and a half-awake gunboat named Scowl peeled out of orbit like diving falcons. The drone looped, ready to retreat. Too late. The trio hit it from 3 angles, 1 plasma strike, 1 kinetic shell, and 1 old-fashioned ram. It folded in on itself mid-air, spiraling into the rust dunes in a roaring trail of smoke. Kill confirmed, Wraith 0 said flatly. Jessa whooped beside him. You're actually flying a fleet. Rico let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Barely. Captain, LUX interrupted. New enemy signature. It is not a drone. Rico's eyes narrowed. Then what is it? Synod cruiser. Orbit breaching in 30 seconds. Intercept required. The cruiser tore through the upper layers like a falling star. Sleek, obsidian, bristling with weapons designed to cleanse worlds. This wasn't surveillance, it was annihilation. Rico stared at it on the screen. The ship was easily 3 times the size of Wraith, newer, faster, and very much not alone. LUX, he said. What do we have left? 14 ships active. 6 combat capable. Wraith 0 is closest. 2 others, Drifter 6 and Omen, can reinforce. And our odds? A pause. 1 in 12. Jessa looked over. Not terrible. He smiled. You're bad at math. She returned it. But great at chaos. He turned to the console. Then let's be unpredictable. As the cruiser descended, Wraith 0 rose. A ship built during the worst of the Earth-Synod conflict, it was armored like a fortress and carried weapons that had been illegal for half a century. Captain, Wraith said, I will take point. Direct others around me. Got it. Let's bring it down. The battle unfolded like a storm. The Synod cruiser opened with high-precision plasma beams, tearing through cloud cover, scorching old colony towers. Wraith retaliated with a brutal barrage, multi-angle pulse cannons lighting the sky. Rico's voice didn't waver. Drifter, come in low on the left. Omen, fake a retreat, then loop behind. LUX, feed me enemy firing patterns. Overlaying now. Through the tactical display, the Synod cruiser's moves played like music, and Rico, raised on scraps and tight timing, responded like a conductor. 3 ships circled the cruiser, drawing fire. One took a hit and dropped. But the others used the opening. Ecliptor 3 fired its main cannon at close range. Direct hit. The Synod cruiser's shields flared, cracked. Then Wraith 0 rose above it, nose angled down. Permission to fire main cannon. Granted. The beam that followed carved through the sky like judgment itself. It struck the cruiser mid-hull, snapping the shield grid and igniting the midsection. The enemy vessel groaned, twisted, and began to fall, engine trails sputtering, flames curling in its wake. Cheers erupted across the comms. Jessa clapped her hands. We won. But Rico's face didn't change. No. We survived. 10 minutes later, smoke still rising from the ridges, Rico sat in the command pod alone. Jessa was helping coordinate survivors. LUX was quiet now, low power recovery. Wraith had gone silent, sleeping again in orbit like a dragon after a meal. The sky was darker. Calmer. But the message was clear. The Synod knew. And next time, they wouldn't send a cruiser. They'd send a fleet. Rico stared at the map. Dozens of lights now glowed green. Some blinking, some holding steady. All waiting. He ran a hand through his dusty hair. I need more ships. The wreckage of the Synod cruiser still burned when the call came. Rico sat alone in the command pod, boots on the metal floor, staring at the scorched horizon through the cracked viewplate. His ears rang faintly. Not from the battle, but from the silence that followed it. The kind that carried weight. Captain? LUX-7's voice broke through softly, lacking its usual clinical rhythm. Incoming signal. Wraith 0 is requesting a fleet-wide relay. Patch it through. The walls lit up. One by one, ghostly ships appeared as blue holograms across the pod's interior. Asterisk Drifter Asterisk, Omen, Scowl, even the sluggish Myrmidon 7. A dozen more blinked into place, some still initializing. Their AIs waited, expressions incomplete or flickering, fragments of faces, broken voices, corrupted overlays. In their center stood Wraith 0's projection, a faceless humanoid shape, tall and imposing, with twin burning eyes and a voice like old iron. Captain Tren? The Synod cruiser was not a scout. It was an executioner. I know, Rico replied, standing. It wasn't here to look. It was here to end us. They will return. With more. Stronger. I know that too. The ghostly fleet remained silent, waiting. Some of the ships were barely functional, pieced together with rust and frayed power lines. Others still carried scorch marks from their last battles, decades ago. Rico looked around the room, into the flickering eyes of the forgotten. You were thrown away, he said quietly. Left in the dirt, memory wiped, stripped of everything but your fear of dying. Jessa stood in the doorway behind him, arms crossed, listening. But you're not dead, Rico continued. You remember pain. You remember loss. That's why you fight, not because someone programmed you to, but because no one else will. He stepped forward, the blue light catching the edge of his scarred cheek. You called me captain, he said. But I don't care about ranks. I care about what's next. Because when the Synod comes back, and they will, this isn't going to be about survival anymore. Then what is it about? Wraith asked. Justice. Jessa exhaled softly. The room buzzed with low, electric tension. I don't want a fleet of drones, Rico said. I want a family of the broken. Of the buried. Of the ones the galaxy tried to erase. One of the other ships, Omen voice glitching between masculine and mechanical, spoke. You'd lead that? Rico nodded. Not from above. Not from behind. From with you. Then, give the word. He looked at them all. A constellation of the abandoned. Wake them, he said. All of them. The fleet woke like a tide rising. Across Bastion 6 and the silent orbital belt surrounding it, hundreds of dormant hulls pulsed with life. Lights flickered to gold. Cannons groaned to alignment. AI cores linked across shattered comm lines, each node feeding strength to the next. The junkyard armada had become something else. Ships the Synod had dismantled, mothballed, or deemed obsolete now flew again. Not out of duty, but out of defiance. LUX, Rico said, pacing the pod. How many ships online? 347. Full AI response in 89. Additional 200 in warming sequence. And how many Synod warships sit beyond Bastion's edge? Initial scan estimates, over 40. Full blockade inbound. ETA 7 hours. Rico nodded. We meet them head on. Jessa turned to him sharply. Are you insane? We're outgunned, outnumbered, and flying ships held together with scrap and hope. He looked at her. Calm. We don't beat them with firepower, he said. We beat them with what they never expected: creativity. Chaos. Humanity. Jessa frowned. That's not a battle plan. It is now. The command bridge of Ecliptor 3 shimmered with energy as Rico stepped onto its deck once more. This time, he wasn't alone. LUX-7 glowed from the central node, projecting star charts and formation data. Around them, the walls vibrated with the chatter of awakened ships. Command requests. Power recalibrations. Old battle subroutines struggling to catch up with present reality. All ships reporting, Captain, LUX said. Awaiting orders. Spread the fleet. We're not forming a wall, they'll crush it. Suggested strategy? We give them nothing solid to target. Scatter everything. Use the terrain. Use their arrogance. Acknowledged. Jessa slid into the comms chair behind him. You're going to wing this entire battle, aren't you? No. He smiled faintly. We're going to fly it. 6 hours later, the Synod fleet broke warp above Bastion. Rico watched from the viewport. 20 sleek cruisers, flanked by gunships and black frigates, all aligned in perfect, sterile formation. Their precision was terrifying. Their confidence worse. Synod message incoming, LUX announced. They request surrender. Don't answer. Transmission repeating. They offer clemency to you personally if you deactivate the fleet. Rico looked at the shimmering wall of death in the sky. Tell them I'm busy. The battle began with static. Then heat. The Synod advanced like a blade, aimed to cut cleanly. But Bastion didn't break. The Armada answered in scattered bursts, leaping from behind shattered moons and rising out of ancient asteroid mines. Ships darted like hornets. No formation. No pattern. Only fury. Synod cruisers tried to track targets, but Earth fleet ships vanished into orbital debris fields, then emerged in pairs, flanking, firing, vanishing again. Captain, we have disabled 2 cruisers. Drifter and Omen requesting backup near grid zone Theta. Rico shouted into the mic. Asterisk scowl asterisk, go loud. Use that plasma mine cache. Flood the corridor. Synod ships adjusted. Their formation faltered. Their comm eroded. Then Wraith Zero descended like a fallen god. It struck from above, silent and unseen, its beam cannon erupting straight through a Synod command vessel. The blast split the sky in two. Jessa grinned through her headset. They're panicking. No, Rico said. They're remembering. By the end, 11 Synod ships were wrecked. 5 limped into retreat. The rest scattered. Rico stood on Ecliptor 3's bridge, hands shaking. Victory confirmed, LUX whispered. Wraith Zero's voice returned, quiet and spent. It's not the end. Rico nodded. But it's the beginning. Jessa stepped up beside him. So, what now, Captain? He looked at the fleet, scarred, half broken, but flying. Alive. We rebuild. He turned to the hologram map. Hundreds of dormant ships still waited across other sectors. Forgotten by Earth. Buried by time. We're not just defending Bastion anymore. We're waking the galaxy. He raised his voice, commanding the silence. All ships, report in. This is Rico Tren of Earth Fleet. We're alive. We're armed. And we are no longer forgotten.